Wow, I just had one of the most insane games with Lantern that I've had probably in the last couple months. Normally I play a bunch of games and then I go back and do my videos, but like I have to make a video on this game right now. It's like it's fresh in my mind. Like this was absolutely amazing. Like you guys 100% like stick around. This is like one of probably my best games of Lantern ever. Like this is like absolutely amazing. I was doing a bit of brewing tonight, and sorry if my voice is a bit scratchy, but I was doing a bit of brewing, and I was thinking about Profane Tutor and kind of how we think about it as a combo deck. And I was looking over some old lists of mine with Whir of Invention and Counterbalance. So I tried a couple matches with Counterbalance, didn't like it as I had before, wasn't really there, but I thought, what if we put Whir of Invention and Profane Tutor together? And the list with Counterbalance that I was trying was just, it didn't have Urza Saga, it was just playing kind of these lands here for blue, for Whir. So it was just, I got to thinking, what if we put Whir of Invention and Profane Tutor together? As if we're thinking about Lantern as a combo deck, then it makes sense to have more tutors. So I put both of them together, and then I went, if we can play Urza Saga with Whir of Invention, and that color requirement works, we can probably play it with Profane Tutor too. It has less of a color requirement. Why don't we play Urza Saga? So I put them all together in one deck, and here's kind of what I have. A couple things to note: we're playing 3 bridges, 3 lanterns. As with so many tutors, we can really trim on those cards. 22 lands because we want to get up to enough to cast Whir. We're playing 61 because I couldn't figure out what to cut. If you have recommendations, please let me know. A couple singleton pieces here. Package Curse Totem, really well positioned in the meta right now. And then one important card is Portable Hole, where it functions kind of as an early removal, but it's very good with Whir of Invention because you can both tap it to make the improvise bigger, and you can find it with Whir to answer something. So I think Portable Hole is just a good card to play when you have Whir of Invention. As for the sideboard of this list, I won't spend too much time on it just because it's still very rough, kind of just cards that were in the list before. But yeah, now that I've gone over the deck, this is my very first game trying this idea of playing Profane Tutor, Whir of Invention, and Urza Saga all in the same deck, which sounds crazy, but I think we might be able to make it work. And yeah, so normally I'm just gonna go through this straight. Like I don't know. This game was something else. So we start on the draw, and we open up a beautiful hand. Like I immediately put all 3 together, and I look at my opener. I'm like, wow, this is perfect. This is exactly what I had in mind. And they go Forest Rhinos. So obviously one of the best decks right now. A lot of people saying it's at the top of the meta. So perfect test. And so we're gonna run out Shredder. Like I've talked about earlier, I run out Shredder before Lantern almost always, just as Lantern allows the opponent to use their fetch lands and things for their advantage instead of ours. So they look like they're going to leave up an Ice here on their land, not a huge deal. So they do Ice us here, but fortunately Lantern just 1 mana. And importantly here, we are going to be able to, with Urza Saga, I think it's a very strong card against Rhinos, as making 2 5/5s are bigger than 4/4s. Obviously, that's not plan A with this hand, but it is something to consider. Now, Force of Negation on top, obviously not great. And one card that I did kind of find I didn't put in the deck yet was Surgical Extraction, and it is something that I will be kind of looking probably sideboard. So we mill ourselves we don't want that 5th land. Obviously we could have milled the Force here, but we're going to mill it soon anyway. And here we do elect to just run out the Ensnaring Bridge. Obviously you could make constructs, but they do run a decent number of Dead Gons and things like that. And I think, we see a Force on top, which means there's only 3 left in the deck, meaning there had to be one one of those 4 cards have to be a force. Yeah, one of them's a force, but they do pitch a Lorien Revealed, which is pretty big here, as that's going to let them draw a lot. We will mill this force eventually. We just want to wait until their upkeep, because we were kind of thinking they would have had like a Violent Outburst or something there. We go ahead and mill the force. Sorry, 1 second here. Into a Mystical Dispute on top. I believe they drew a card in there. Sorry, it skipped over their draw step there. It wasn't, if I remember correctly, it wasn't anything like terrible, but we are just going to make constructs here. Bit unfortunate that this saga is going to get shuffled away, but we're going to make a construct bigger than the 2 4/4s that they have coming off suspend. And then just playing, grabbing a second Shredder off of the Urza Saga, as we are going to just try to protect this construct as much as we can. So obviously we are going to wait. We still are kind of thinking they have Violent Outburst here, as it's kind of rare that you see them without a Cascader in their hand. However, they don't have one, or at least they don't play it, either because they want to draw a Mystical Dispute or because they just don't have it. So we mill Mystical Dispute and Flame of Anor after they make Rhinos. Importantly, we do wait till the last kind of possible moment before their draw step. And here, obviously, the Flame of Anor main deck has made Rhinos a harder matchup than it was before they started playing that, but it's still very, very winnable. We do go ahead and make a food here. Just want to have that extra land out of my hand, and I think it's a nice pickup. We crack the Bauble, which just because our construct's already big enough to get through a Rhino token, even if they have Violent Outburst, it'll still survive. So we cracked the Bauble in order to get the second card down, which ended up being a Saga. And with Profane Tutor on top, we're in a very good position here. We are going to name Beseiju, as we don't want it. They probably don't have it in hand, but it just is 1 card less for us to mill. You could name Mutavault here, but I don't think it's super likely that they're firing it up to attack anytime soon, and we're going to mill Flame of Anor anyway, regardless of whether Mutavault is turned on. Yeah, and then here, again, we get to use our tutors in Profane Tutor, so we're going to suspend that and just make more constructs. They concede pretty quickly here. We're going to mill, we let them shuffle, obviously, with the fetch land, and we do let them draw Subtlety, as we don't have any creatures left in our deck, and the 3/3 body, despite having flying, we have Cookbook, and we're at 20, so it's not relevant here. We're going to end up making 2 constructs, and next turn, Profane Tutor coming off would likely just get another Saga, as in this position, just making constructs is the best thing to do. Now for sideboarding, kind of my typical Rhinos plan. Sorry that I'm not editing it the way I normally do. Sorry, this game too is wild. But the sideboard, again, is very rough, so we kind of brought in like Void Mirror, Welding Jar, things like that, and then just made some couple trims, cut the portable holes, Grafdigger's Cage, Cookbook, things like that. Alright, game 2. I like to keep this hand. We have Duress for early removal, Ensnaring Bridge, double Tutor, and I think part of the reason is because I know I have so many tutors in the deck, so many of my draws here are live. There's almost nothing that's like totally a dead draw. Whir does give me the flexibility to get both pieces of the lock, which is very nice. Duress, which gets forced, force pitch Subtlety, so obviously their hand is going to be something pretty strong, but we aren't going to get to see what it is for a little bit. Spoiler alert, it is pretty good. They definitely should have forced. And so we run out Spellskite here. Just start playing stuff out. And they are stuck on a second land here, which is is what it is. Good for us. And they do elect to ice, tap down one of our lands. Again, this isn't a huge deal, as without any pressure, we're still able to play Codex Shredder. Sure, we're not able to Whir or Bridge, but it doesn't slow us down a ton. And so we are drawing lots of our protection, which is nice. Force of Vigor and Flame of Anor are kind of their 2 big answers to all of our artifacts. And so having multiple layers of protection is very good in this matchup. And yeah, so they do find their third land here. Importantly, it's not a red land, but we shall see when that comes up. And so we're going to play Bauble. And here, I actually make the decision, Whir of Invention being an instant is very, very important. Kind of allows you to play on their turn. I actually make the decision to go for, what's the name? The cards, I'll see when I tutor for it. I can't think of the name of the card I played like 2 seconds ago. Voidmere. Because they've kind of left mana up every turn, I'm kind of anticipating some combination of Force of Vigor, Force of Negation. So getting a Voidmere here allows me to not kind of have to worry about those cards as much. And if they hardcast Force of Vigor, I can save one thing with Spellskite and one thing with Welding Jar. Now here, the reason I tapped for 3 is because I want them to think that I'm getting Ensnaring Bridge, because I think they're more likely to counter that than if I go for 2. I have an Ensnaring Bridge in hand, so I don't have to use Whir of Invention for Ensnaring Bridge, but I think it makes sense to represent being able to get Ensnaring Bridge here. I do go for this plan of Voidmere, which I think was correct. And I pass through. Again, I want to use Whir of Invention, so if I had another land, I would Thoughtseize first, but with the Whir of Invention, I don't want to Thoughtseize. They do have Force of Vigor, but we are able to use Spellskite. We're going to change one target, the Codex Shredder, onto Spellskite, and we're going to use Welding Jar on Voidmere. If they have a hand of Cascaders, it's like something like Violent Outburst they could have here, and in that case, we want to use Whir of Invention to get Lantern and then play Bridge, which is why we do elect to save the Codex Shredder. You could make the argument that we shouldn't use Redirect to Spellskite because we want to save that for the future, but I don't think that's necessary here. Obviously, with what their hand turned out to be, maybe it was the correct call, but and then so here we're gonna play Whir, go get Lantern here, just to have a bit more control over our draws and their draws, and so then we Thoughtseize here, and I think this is kind of one of the most important moments in the game. We see triple Flame of Anor, and I think they kind of threw pretty hard here. They definitely should have played Violent Outburst in response to Thoughtseize. But we're able to take the Outburst here, and then we're just going to slowly, they should, I guess they couldn't have because of the Voidmere. Never mind, ignore last sentence. But I think here we take the Violent Outburst and then we're just going to have to slog our way through Flame of Anor. Like if we take one Flame of Anor, they're just going to end step destroy the Voidmere, untap, make a bunch of Rhinos. If we play Ensnaring Bridge, they're going to cast Flame of Anor on it, and we lose. So I think here we have to take the Violent Outburst, and then either discard or force them to use the Flame of Anor on our lock pieces. We're going to hold the bridge as we only have one right now, and so we don't want them to be using it on bridge yet, as we want them to play it. We don't want them to know we have a bridge in hand. Obviously, it's kind of telegraphed, but if they don't think we have bridge in hand, they're going to use the Flame of Anor on our other cards, which we can then play. Importantly, I would just keep an eye on this graveyard as we watch just how many hate pieces end up here without us discarding them. So like this Force of Vigor, Force of Negation, Flame of Anor, they've all cast in one game. And spoiler alert, we win this game, obviously. That's kind of what makes it pretty insane. But just the ability that we show here to fight through so much hate, I think is just really, really powerful. And I'm really in love with this list. I think I'm going to try it out like a ton more. And so I do elect to Flame here, going after our Codex Shredder. And obviously, from their position, because they have 3 flames, they do kind of feel repeatable. Obviously, as someone that plays Lantern, I would say they probably want to hold them a lot more, but up to them. We do crack the Bauble here as we want to draw the second Shredder and like whatever's underneath it. There's not really a reason to save it. And we find Urza's Saga, which is like beautiful. And Also, half the reason we used the bauble was so that the shardless agent would show up here and we would know about it. And so as they untap, we do mill the shardless agent because we don't want them to make rhinos. We want them to keep using the Flame of Nor. They draw Lorien Revealed, which is not good here. Obviously, lets them refuel their hand quite a bit, which they are going to do. And Boseiju in their hand, not worth using Lantern here, I don't think, because it allows them to then use Flame of Nor to completely disrupt our lock and puts us pretty far behind. We can get an answer. Saga's going to make kind of 2 more threats that need answering, and so they just have a lot of things that need answering on our side of the battlefield. And we find a Whir of Invention on top. Again, all of these tutors are going to be very strong and are going to kind of be what allows us to fight for a victory here. They draw, just drawing a land is good for us. Force of Negation on top is something that we will likely mill, as we don't want them drawing it. They do have Dead Gone, like they have answers for our constructs, but still we want to force them, basically we want to force them to use every answer they have in their deck until we can get to a point where we're able to drop in Snaring Bridge. Basically we just play threat after threat after threat that they have to answer, and then once they're totally gassed of any answers, we're just going to drop Bridge and win the game from there. I think they probably could have used Boseiju on Lantern, or like on the Saga earlier. Definitely a choice by them. We find Welding Jar because if they Boseiju certain things, we're not as concerned with it. So we grab the Welding Jar. You couldn't grab the Needle on Boseiju to force them to Flame of Nor. The Pithing Needle doesn't make a huge difference, I don't think. And I like having the Welding Jar, as it gives a bit more flexibility than the Pithing Needle. And so they do Boseiju here, the Codex Shredder, which allows us to mill the Force of Negation, grab a Watery Grave. Importantly, this list isn't playing any basics just because I'm greedy and didn't want to put any in, but we can find a Watery Grave. I didn't want to put any basic islands in because I really like turn 1 discard, and I didn't want to put any basic swamps in because I need Whir of Invention to be online, so I was just super greedy and didn't play any basics. And here they finally cast their 3rd Flame of Nor. So in order to draw 2 cards, we're going to go ahead and let them draw 2 here. We finally hit the end of the Flame of Nors, and they do find another answer to our construct, but at this point, like they're out of answers to the constructs, and so we are in good shape. We're going to be able to use this Whir. I think their thinking was that we have to use Whir in order to get a bridge, and then we don't have Codex Shredder to manipulate the top of their library, but obviously we kind of have it all here. So we are going to Whir, grab a Codex Shredder, another Whir on top, like beautiful. We are going to swing, force them to, like if they don't use it, we'll just kill them with damage, but obviously they will here. And then so they have land, Ketria Triome in hand. So that instant speed draw is kind of relevant. We're just going to main phase grab another Shredder here. Like you could wait, but I just like having the Shredders available. And then, yeah, them drawing a fetch land, we're in pretty good shape here. Yeah, they have the Triome. They do cycle it here, and we are going to mill the Lorien. Just 3 cards isn't really what we want them to have. And then the Shardless Agent drawing here is totally fine. We have Bridge in hand, and we know they have Footfalls. So from here, we got them out of all their removal, and we're in good shape. They make Rhinos, and we're just going to untap, slam a Bridge. We know they have. We do a bit of digging, just looking for. I think we were looking for a Thoughtseize here, but we name Otawara over Boseiju as we have Welding Jar to protect against things like Boseiju, but Needle Welding Jar doesn't do anything about that. Yeah, and we basically from here we play Stone Brain, kind of hoping that they guess I should pause to show you the list. They only have Flame of Anor is their only answer. At this point, we have 2 Mill Rocks. They have 1 Flame of Anor. Easy win from here. So overall, this was an absolutely insane game. All the tutors were of Invention. Got a bit of Profane tutor in the first game was very useful. Having Whir and Urza Saga I really liked. So I'm very excited about this list. Going to be trying it out. Obviously, I can see it perhaps being a bit slow in some of these faster matchups as we're spending so much time tutoring. But fortunately, I think we can hopefully combine enough efficient tutors in order to make a pretty solid list. If you want to see my games as I continue to explore this list, don't forget to subscribe. Thank you for all of you that have so far, and I've really enjoyed kind of sharing my thoughts on what is my favorite deck in Modern, and love seeing all the people saying, "Oh, getting into Lantern because of you." So glad I could help you find this deck, and yeah, I just really found this a very interesting game. Sorry that it's such a long video, a lot of me rambling. I don't actually know what the total time on it is yet, but yeah, this was a crazy game. Yeah, if you look at their graveyards, you got 3 Flame of Anors, double Force of Negation, Lorien Revealed, cast, importantly, Beseju, like the exiled Force of Vigor that they did cast. So yeah, they had a lot of interaction, which Rhinos does, but we were able to fight our way through it, and so we got there in the end. Pretty happy with that, and look forward to trying out this list, just jamming every tutor imaginable.